let's talk about 8 BLB trips which made us scream and cry and replay them 800 times and dream about it. Hi friends, today it's all about the most iconic trope and the most powerful trope, which is the BLB trip. Let's go and let's get into it. The Eclipse has 2 really great beach trips in the amazing series that it is already, which is also really important because the show in itself is like quite intense on several like layers basically. Like firstly, it's about like Ax and him being like really pressured by the school, by the teachers in the school, also by himself, because he doesn't want to disappoint his parents. They're not super wealthy. He's there on a scholarship. He's in the big city. He's kind of alone. He lives in a dorm, even though I think he's like barely of age / underage, right? So it's like a boarding school-ish situation for him, basically, but without the constant supervision. And so that's why I feel like for his side, it's like when he's at school, like it's all about like he has to succeed, he has to like do everything that he needs to do. Then he's also prefect, there's a lot of rules, it's very oppressive, right? And there's the underlying like meta theme, which is also introduced by like Ayan's character, who's like very rebellious, and his like uncle taught him all about equality and justice and fighting for your rights and for what is right. And also him reading 1984 by George Orwell, right, which is about an authoritarian surveillance state where there's literally this thing called the thought police. If you have not read that book, it is quite interesting, and sadly we have become the Orwellian nightmare, but that's a different video. Anyway, but then Ayan, like I said, like comes in and he's like this rebellious character. His uncle just died, and he wants to know basically why, like what caused his uncle's death, maybe who caused his uncle's death. And then there's this mysterious curse, which we then find out is more of a, again, very Orwellian, like this kind of countermeasure, like by the prefects, to like basically control the population of the school, basically, right? And so then when they go on this little trip for school to Ax home, which is near the beach and by the ocean, and his parents are super lovely and wholesome people, and they greet all of them with like really like a lot of warmth, and they're like really happy that I brought some friends and they bring out delicious food, and it's like really cool. Like some of them are like gonna sleep I think in a tent, and like it's like it just sounds like a beautiful trip, really, for all of them. But then, of course, there's still some tensions going on, right, between Ak and Ayan. And Ayan and Ak are not the only ones where there's some tension in the group. It's also because they basically also disagree a little bit on the curse, on the like this kind of activist group that was founded by 3 like of their fellow students, like in the school. And then of course there's also the tension between Tua and Khan, because they have been friends for a really long time. Obviously they're going to both of them through this very strict school, and they have developed feelings for each other, but especially I think like Khan is like still very like struggling with a little bit of the internalized homophobia, some of the expectations by the school, by society, maybe by his parents, but we never meet them, so I don't know that. And so they have some lovely moments as well. Then by the ocean, it's like a very, in nature, I feel like often in films it's like represented as a really freeing space, because you can't really cage nature, can't you? So I feel like it's a very interesting meta layer often. But I want to make a separate video about this, like how it has to do, because I've read this really great Teen World article. So about this, about like queerness in film and like the ocean and beaches, it's amazing. And so I probably will make a whole separate video about this, because this will totally not fit into this video. Let's continue. So they're at the beach. It's the first time. Also, like, Ak is not 100% sure about Ayan. He's like, what are his intentions? They don't really know yet the connection with that their beloved teacher who left is Ayan's uncle who died. And obviously then also there's a very emotional scene also where Ayan is basically like staying out in the ocean, and he's like has tears in his eyes, and he's holding the necklace that his uncle gave him. And yeah, there's like, it's just so many beautiful scenes, like cinematographically, and also the storytelling, the development of the characters. It's really amazing. And then we got, of course, the second trip, which is mostly about like that Ark has to go home because he got suspended because all of the things came out, like with him doing the curse and all this kind of stuff. And so that's why he and I think Tua getting suspended. And so he goes home and he has to obviously tell his parents, and he also tells his parents that he likes boys and he likes men, that, you know, he's in love with a man and all these things, and they do, like, it's such a beautiful feeling because I feel like he was really, really scared, and they react so beautifully and they accept them so beautifully. And then also when they meet, of course, also Ayan is like really amazing. And then all his other friends, which I still think that it forgave a little bit too quickly, but they're teenagers, so I'm gonna let it slide. Right? They have this very beautiful moment also again there at the beach, I think. But also again, I feel like just often like the beach kind of represents like this kind of like free, like the freedom basically that especially capitalism tries to like take away from you. And I feel like, yeah, especially nature can't be caged in that way. And so that's why I also feel that when I'm in nature, when I'm in the forest or something like by the ocean, you can feel like the power basically of nature, and you're like, you know, and so I love that. And I feel like that's also shown in these scenes. And yeah, it also ends obviously with them on the boat together, which it started with Ark alone on a boat, and it ends the series with Ayan Ark together on a boat, and it's so beautiful, and I love that. And yeah, that's the Eclipse. Yeah. Okay, now with the next one, going a little bit back in time, we're going back to 2016, and it's SOTUS. SOTUS is I think one of the, if not the first, like BL of Team MTV, especially the one that kind of went viral basically. And so obviously it's like iconic in itself, just as a status piece basically. But obviously it also has a beach scene, a beach trip. And this one is because this SOTUS, as the name is the series, it's a engineering like thing, a thing where they have to go through hazing and have to do things, and there's people and they're like, what are they doing really? But it's supposed to be probably like a character building and like make it like a community thing. Anyway, and then they have to go through all these things, and then in the end they get this like bracelet with a little gear on it because they're engineering students. And it's like a really big thing in general, but already like the symbol is like really important. And there's like this little ceremony where you basically get your gear, like, and you can wear it, and you can also give it to your significant other, because that's like, it's like a special meaning that we will get into it in a moment. And then we've got our main characters, Kong, Pop, and Artit. And I have to say, like, obviously Chris Singh also played it like really amazingly, but you can really see that Kong Pop is like so gone. He's like already like gone, like he's so gone. And he's so in love with him. And then they're at the beach, and it's like a really beautiful like trip in general. They have to do still some crazy things, but there's again also this really beautiful moment where they basically join their seniors at the beach, and it's like dark already, and there's everywhere it's like fires and candles, and they're walking like over like the hands, I think, of all the seniors, and then they're getting their little like gear, and it's so beautiful, and it's a very lovely gesture. And then yeah, like they're sitting at the beach, like Kong, Pop, and Artit, and Kong gives him his gear, and like Artit is a bit confused because he's like, oh, do you not want this? Do you not want to be an engineer? Obviously he goes like full Artit mode. He's like, oh, what are you doing again? Are you trying to like fuck with me again and stuff like that? And then Kong Pa's like, no, I just wanted to have it. And then then Artit joins his seniors but also his friends. And then he asks his senior, what does it mean if someone gives you their gear? And then he's like, oh, do you not know this? And he obviously doesn't. And then he's like, oh yeah, like this is very important because obviously like the gear, it represents the engineers, and there's the saying which means like the gear's in your heart and the heart is your gear or something like that. And and so then he's like, yeah, so if someone gives you their gear, it's like they give, especially if they're the engineering student, they're giving you their heart and want you to take care of it, they want you to wear it. So you should take care of their heart. And obviously Arteta has been shocked by that. But it's very lovely. Also, we got some really cute scenes with Kong and his friends. Also with one of the girls who are his friends. One of them, she's like, actually, I really don't like men. Like, I do not like men romantically or anything like that. And I love that as well. We need more GLs. Legit. And so that was kind of iconic of her as well. But yeah, so this beach trip, he also, like, they do get drunk and things like that as well. But yeah, like this beach trip in SOTUS was like very important. Yeah, because it was very important for their relationship, for their development later on as well, and for them as like a group, as a friend group, but also like a bigger like engineering group. And yeah, so that's why this is still like really in my forefront of my mind, always this scene, because it is quite iconic in so many instances. And yeah. Okay, let's get into another iconic BL beach trip, which is from the series We Are. I love that series. Pond and Pruwin are the first ones to go on a beach trip in this show, I think. And they like go together, just the two of them, even before they're officially a couple. And it's like, it's so cute because they go by train and they go like basically a really spontaneous. And I think they only also stay for like a night or something. But it was so cute. Also, when I watched it for the first time, I didn't think that this early on they would go on a beach trip. Also, technically they also did that and Never Let Me Go, but that's maybe a Pond Pruwin thing by now a little bit as well. And yeah, I think it's a very important trip for like the characters to connect, because they're like gone from all like their friends from university and from all the people that they know from their families, right? And so they can just like 100% like just let go of all of that, even though they have amazing friends and family members and all of that. But I think like still sometimes that can still like, you know, be a thing that you sometimes have to let go of, even for just a moment. And that happens basically. And they also, because Pond's character Poom, I don't think he's ever been on a train, especially not the one that they go on, which is like really cute. I want to do that as well. And so like they're just going on this spontaneous trip, and they're like going there and then at the beach, and they're at this really cute hotel. And obviously they're kissing a lot, even though they're not together yet, which is hilarious in the show. Like they kiss 20 times at least before they're like officially together, I think. But it's kind of a vibe here with the characters. The only ones who are very quickly together are Ao and Boom's characters, Tan and Fang, I think. So that's why. And so it's a very early BL beach trip. It's just the two of them. But yeah, it's a really wholesome, really cute, really important for the characters. And then they can just like let loose and just like be there with each other and in the presence of nature. Yeah, it's so beautiful and I love that. So then the second beach trip is in the last episode, as it is tradition in one of the last episodes to have a beach trip. And obviously all of them are there and all of them are together with their significant other. And so it's very beautiful. And they're all like getting a little weepy, a little emotionally mushy and be like, oh, I'm so glad that you're my friends. I think Peem says that. And then Poom says to Peem that he's so glad that he's like part of his story. And you know that he now also has so many friends. Because that is a major part of Poom's character, is that he felt for a very long time quite lonely, even though he had his brother and two of his friends, right? Beer and Mick, but still, like, now he has this massive friend group and also his boyfriend, and he's doing better with the relationship with his father. And so I feel like that really just rounded out the whole series, which in general is a really wholesome, comforting series to watch. And that's why I really recommend a rewatch if you have watched it before. And if you've not watched it, you should. It's been over a year now, and I still think this is such a good series. It has I think the pacing is near perfect, actually, on most of the stories, besides of the Mark and Prune story. That one was paced a bit weirdly, but it's okay. Anyway, let's continue. They're just sitting there, they're like playing in the water, they're sitting on the sand, they're going to, like, I think a market as well, eating something together. And it's just like really beautiful that these two friend groups basically merged, right? And that is so beautiful, and I love that because often I feel like there's like one friend group in like BLs or like in TV shows in general, but it's very rarely about like the merging of kind of two friend groups, and I feel like they did it beautifully in VR. And so that's why also the beach trip makes it even better, because they're there together at the beach. This is not their first trip together, but their first beach trip, I think. And so, yeah, and then also comes out that Q's like super rich and they like stay at his resort and shit. It's amazing. Yes. Okay, that was We Are. Yay! Imperfect 10-liners. The beach actually also plays a really significant role for the overall storyline and plot and for the development of the characters, and also is responsible for at least two of the main couples to actually get together. So there's two main beach trips in this, and we're gonna talk about those. Like, there's more trips in general, but I might talk about that in a different video. So the Perfect 10-liners is this mentor group, which happens a lot in Thai universities. And so Arm is actually the mentee of Emmy's character. But yeah, like, obviously BCR really is falling in love with Arm. He wants to go with him, so they go together to this beach where the person who started the Perfect 10-liners and the like bracelets tradition is like located, and he makes them himself. They can't be bought, they're literally only for the Perfect 10-liners. And the character is called Tawan, and he's played by Tay Tawan. We love him. That was so funny when he like appeared the first time on screen, and I was like, sure babe, like, I love it. You are one of the pillars of GMM TV, so why not? And so they have this really like beautiful like evening with him, and they're like, then they're watching the sunset, and they're like had already played around on the beach in the water, and they're like waiting for the sunset, and then they're talking about all these things, and they're talking about how especially Arm like got really hurt in like the past in his like when he was first in love, and that really kind of like scarred him a little bit. And so like Ark is like super like amazing with this, and he's like very like basically like helpful, but also really like empathetic, and it's just a really beautiful scene where you can really see that like I'm talking about this and being open about it, and someone validating his feelings is really healing. And so that's why this already was like a beautiful trip for him. And obviously this also lays the cornerstone for their relationship, you know. And so that's why it's like, yeah, it was very important for the characters basically to go to this trip together. And yeah, like a little bit manufactured obviously by Ark, because they stayed in the same room and all of that. But you know, he's in love. He was like, I need to get this man, and so he did, and he did get him, so we love that. And then we've got of course my babes Sansa playing Yota and Gun, Yota being of course the mentee of Arm. And then because Arm is like, oh yeah, like we need to get you the bracelets. Like they say that, and then they say that while they're like super drunk. And so Gun is like, oh my god, like I want this bracelet too. How can I get a bracelet? And then Armin's like, you need to date someone in a perfect 10-liners. And then they're like, but we're all taken besides Yota. And Yota is like, sure, why not? And so they get really happy about that, obviously. But then, you know, some things happen between Yota and Gun, which is why Gun, rightfully so, is giving Yota a little bit of the cold shoulder. And so, with the help of Arm, Yota kind of manages to get Gun to come with him to the beach, in which also Tawan, rightfully so, also sees kind of that something's going on between them. And then when he asks Yota if he's gonna give his second bracelet to Gun, he's like, no, I think you're misunderstanding something. And I love what he says. Then he says, no, I think you're misunderstanding something, and let me know when you figure it out, basically, or something like that. And it was amazing because I was like, yes, thank you for saying what I've been thinking. So, you know, vibes. And then of course they also get a little drunk, and then Yota and Gun stay at the beach, and then like watching the sunset, and then Yota tells him all the things about his past and about his trauma, and about that he was like this Piwa is basically his ex, who then like where it didn't work out because Piwa literally was like, yeah, I don't think I really love you, and it's just kind of sad. And then he's like, yeah, I feel something really special for you, but I'm still not sure, and I don't want to, like, that you go through something like I went through. And then Gun is like, okay, I'm gonna wait for you, then for you to figure it out, and then you tell me. And then they have this very beautiful conversation, basically, which was very necessary, but so well done. And again, I love this motif, basically, of that they're at the beach, and it's like this, like, especially during dawn, right? It's like it's the space in which they can like talk about all the things that they wanted to talk about, even things they have repressed, they've traumatized them, and they didn't like, that they didn't want to talk about, maybe even, but they're still going to talk about it. And so I think it's just such a beautiful way in which there's this saying, it's always darkest before the dawn, right? And so I feel like that really is fitting with they're sitting there, and it's like quite dark, and then it's getting lighter and lighter, and all of a sudden basically like it's morning, and they're sitting on this beautiful beach. And I feel like for both couples, it's like a very important part of their journey together as couples, but also as the characters separately. And so that's why I think, yeah, like the water really is like really healing, but there's also like folklore meanings to that, actually, that if you're like really angry and you want something to be done about it, I've heard that in some folklore you like tell the water, but like it might not be the outcome that you want. At least that's what I heard, but correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me what it says in your folklore, but that's what I've heard in basically like here in Germany and so on. Yes, so that's just a side note to why, like, I feel like the water has a very special meaning. It also has a beach trip episode, and it is also really, like, impactful for the storyline of all the characters. Because by that point, like, we already saw some characters getting together. Tin and Gun are already together. And then Sound and Win are not together yet, but there's something brewing, and then there's the hot wave contest is on the horizon, and they're all trying to write songs, especially like also Sound and Win are like writing songs. And yes, I think Gun is also writing a song. Like all of them are writing songs for the hot wave, and it's like all about that. It's also about team building and about practicing and fun, and like seeing one of their seniors from, you know, high school. So that's why it's really amazing already, like for the storyline basically. But then we also get some really cute scenes, because basically basically like Tin and Gun need to hide that they're in a relationship, that they like each other, which only goes semi-well. At the beach, there's several developments. First, we've got Sound and Win. And Sound obviously is 100% sure that he is basically like really likes Win, and he has feelings for him, and he's trying to tell him that, and he's like writing a song, and Win doesn't really get it. He's a little bit oblivious, basically, and then he shows him Sound is writing a song, and it's like a really beautiful lovey love song, and then Win is like, this is not your style at all, like, and so Sound is a bit angry about that, which I understand if your crush is like not getting it. And then he's like sitting alone at the beach, and Tin and Gun join him, especially Gun is then there and like is sitting there with him, and and then they kind of talk past each other though, because then for a moment Gun thinks that Sound's actually in love with Tin and not with Win. And then obviously Sound has to say, no, I like Win. And then he's like, oh, and then they both know things about each other. So like secrets get revealed at the beach. Anyway, count how many times I will say beach in this episode, okay? And tell me then in the comments. Because it will be a lot, I think. And so, but it's so beautiful because like Tin is kind of in the background waiting, supporting, but also doesn't want to intrude, right? And so I love that. And then of course we also have this iconic moment where Sound perform like this new song, and it's a bit more angry and more angsty, and Win basically said, I felt like this song was all about you screaming at me about something. And then basically Sound definitely confesses his feelings, and Win is like, yeah, like I want that to happen. I think my heart to beat faster when I see you. And so they're basically in the dating phase, which we love that. And in general, like we have got some really cutie scenes at the beach. Yeah, so I love My School President. It's such a good series. I still listen to the soundtrack. If you have not watched it and or listened to the soundtrack, you should. Such amazing like entertainment, but also wholesomeness, cuteness, and great cute songs. Funny story though, if you have watched My Love Mix-Up, you technically have seen characters from My School President because they have a cameo basically as the band, but obviously without Tin and Gun, because they're in My School, like because they're My School President and My Love Mix-Up. Okay, rant end. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this part so far. Let's get into the next beach trip. Now I want to talk about Why Are You from Domundi with Z and Saint, because in that series also the beach trip that the two characters like took was so important, because it really like kind of cemented their like relationship, but it also was important for like the story development. And of course then there was also this thing where it kind of outed them because they like someone found like the pictures of them at the beach. But anyway, that's not what this is about. Just like I think it was just really beautiful because they're like at this like at this, I don't know if it's like actually a house that belongs to Z's character, Fighter in this, like in the series Why Are You, but definitely Fighter's like very obviously very rich, and so he has like this this like villa, this like beach house by the sea, and it's just like really beautiful, and they have some really beautiful like scenes and sea scenes and all of that there. And it's just very beautiful. Like it's again really this like they can like really let go of all the pressures and all of this. Oh, are we being watched? Are people knowing about us? Like does the dad know about us? Also like Tudor's character, so like Saint's character Tudor is like, oh, like you can let go for a little bit of all like I have to tutor a lot of people, I have to work at the cafe, I have to pay off this, pay off that, all of that. And so I feel like again they can really let go of that and just like be themselves and like really explore this relationship that has been building for a few episodes, and also without the interruption of their friends and of course their family, especially in Fighter's like instance. I hated that dad. He was a horrible dad. Not as horrible as some in the BL world, but not a great dad. Okay. And so yeah, like it's a very lovely show. And yeah, the beach episode is definitely very important for them. And they're like doing all the fun things together, taking cute pictures, and yeah, like swimming in the ocean, swimming in the swimming pool, and the I think he also has a sauna. I think there's also a scene with a sauna, and yeah, they're like just like sleeping in, just there with each other, existing. And so that's why I really wanted to mention it here, because I love that also. It was quite an enjoyable series, and also a really cute beach scene, and it was really, like I said, important for the characters to really explore each other, explore their relationship, and to really like be in the present with each other. And so that's why I think it's actually one of the like BL trips to the beach that I think about sometimes as well. So yeah. Let's get to our first Korean BL of this list, because the Eighth Sense obviously has a massive theme with the water and the beach, and so there's like 2 beach trips in the series. We are gonna talk about the first one more than the second one, because the second one is way bigger than I could ever fit into like this video. I need to make a separate video, either with just the Eighth Sense, that beach trip, the second one, or I make a different video, because it's just too big. If you have seen the Eighth Sense, you know what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about the first beach trip, because it is very important to the storyline, to the characters, but it's not as big, like from the theme, the motifs, and the general like consequences of the whole thing as the other one. So let's get into it. Okay. The first beach trip is very important for several reasons. First, because you get Jihyun, who's like, yeah, I want to try out new things, but I also want to get closer to like the senior that I met, right? This like older student that I met, Jaewon, and he's like obviously very fascinated by him, but Jaewon is obviously also very fascinated by Jihyun. And so it's like he joins the surf club, and so they have very soon a surf club like little trip, where they stay for like, I think like 2 nights or something, where they stay by the beach, and obviously they go surfing. But because Jihyun and 2 other girls who later on in the series also become his friends, are like freshmen, and they're like new to the club, and they don't really know a lot about surfing, or they've never surfed before, they obviously need a bit more of detailed instruction than the other ones, who either have surfed before and also have been in this surf club for longer. And so Jaewon, as the sneaky babe that he is, obviously is like to this surf club woman, who's also his friend. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take the guy because I feel more comfortable with the guy. And I'm like, I see you, boo. I see you. He's so sneaky. He thinks at least he's sneaky, but she also clocks it, obviously. And then Jaewon and Jihyun, like, it's like it's hilarious actually, because he asked him if he can swim, and he's like, yeah, like I swam in a lake. And he's like, that's not the same as swimming in the ocean, which is true. And then he's like, okay, we need to get you a wetsuit, we need to get you a board. And then he gets him, like, because I have worn a wetsuit before, which like no one had to help me like take it off or put it on. So there are ones where there's like a string, and you can like pull the string and stuff. And so it's like one that you can literally wear yourself, and you don't need anyone helping you, right? But he chooses one where he needs to help Jihyun like put it on and take it off. So I'm like, again, I see you, babe. I see you. Okay, you're being sneaky a little bit, but not that much. And then obviously, right, they're doing some exercises. They're like going to water, doing the first tries. It's all going really well. They're having fun. Then then before they go shower, they're actually getting something to drink, and also Jihyun is eating some ramen, which I love that. Because like it is probably really good actually to eat that directly when you're out of the water, because like firstly it's very filling, it's warm, you know, that's probably actually a really good idea. That's why I also always think that when you go swimming or like do some kind of like sport afterwards, like you're always like inhaling your food. It's actually kind of a crazy feeling. Not that you need to do sport to deserve your food. I'm just meaning it's like, I don't know, it's like a crazy feeling a little bit. Anyway, And then they're sitting there, and it's like really cute because Jihyun is wearing this little it's like a towel or something, or like a little blanket. And they're like having banter, you know, they're having a great time. And then Miss Yoonji is there. I do not like her. Girl, okay? What are you doing? Like, first you cheat on him, and then he breaks up with the witch, legit. And then you being like this weird person, and by this point, she doesn't even know that Jae-won likes Jihyun. Like, she doesn't know anything. Nothing has happened, right? And she is being a bitch. Which I don't like using that word from women most of the time, but she is. She's being so unnecessarily mean and cruel to him, even though he is like a really nice person. Like, he is like, that's why it makes sense that Jae-won calls him a country mouse. Like, if you get that reference, you're a real one. The country mouse and the city mouse, which I loved that cartoon as a child. Let's not digress. Hyunji and I think her name is Yunwo, but I forgot now. So the like leader girl of the swim club, and they're like getting something to eat. They're like drinking something, I think like a smoothie or something like they got from the same like kiosk cafe that obviously Jae-won and Jihyun are at. And they're like walking past them, and Hyunji is like really annoyed, and obviously Yunwo is like kind of like, what is happening, like why are you so annoyed? And then she's like, I just don't like him, I just don't like him. And I'm like, why not? Firstly, he's like the cutest person ever. He is now nothing to you, and just because Jae-won wants to spend time with him, firstly, does not mean anything. Yes, we know this is a BL, so we know where this is going, but if this would be real life, like, she couldn't have known this. So, because also she's the one that cheated actually, so why you assume things onto other people? I don't understand that. And so that's why, like, that's a weird part. And then there's obviously they're having this like Korean barbecue in the evening by the beach, obviously with a lot of alcohol, as it is. Always the alcohol. I could not relate. I don't like alcohol. I don't think it tastes good. Like any, like beer, wine, anything like that. Hard alcohol, especially not. It tastes like cough medicine, I think, personally. Anyway, and so they're like sitting there, and he's like grilling the meat, right? Jae-won is grilling the meat, and then obviously Jihyun, who works at like this Korean barbecue place, right, with this amazing owner who's like the best person ever, and she like gives him so much advice, and also Jae-won later, I love that. That scene also really gave Scam vibes, and she gave him the advice, but if you know, you know. Then like Jae-won is like grilling the meat, and then Jihyun comes like, and it's like, no, I should help you, you know, because I kind of do this professionally, and they're grilling the meat together. And Miss Yoonji again is like, I don't like this. And then she and the other, like this other guy, they're trying to kind of embarrass also Jihyun, which I didn't like. And then later, Jihyun is sitting at the beach alone. He's vibing. He's there with his little iPod, like AirPods in, and he's like just enjoying it. And all of a sudden, he hears like someone arguing basically, and he turns around, and it's Yoonji and Jae-won. And he like turns back around because he's like, that's none of my business. And like basically Yoonji is like being kind of a weirdo again. She's like, why do you not want to talk to me? Why are you like this? And Jae-won is basically like, you cheated on me. He doesn't say that, but she knows that's the reason, I guess. But she doesn't know that he knows, I think. But yeah, like he's like, we broke up. I don't have any feelings for you anymore. This is over. Like, we are in the same club. Like, I'm courteous to you, but that's it. And then he goes onto the beach and like, let her stand there. She doesn't even say anything. He doesn't even answer to anything. She's like calling after him, anything like that. And so he goes to the beach, and then obviously they kiss on the beach, but then Jae-won forgets about it. So yeah, but so like their first beach trip is very important for the Jae-won, Jihyun relationship development. And also that there's like really good memories for both of them already at the beach and with the surf club. And so that's why, yeah. So I will talk about the other beach trip in a different video, because it will be even longer than this part. And yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this part about the 8th sense. If you want to know more about my thoughts about the 8th sense in general, listen to my podcast episode. Yeah, I will have it linked down below in the description for you. Okay, so we're gonna round off this amazing list of BL beach trips with the Love in the Air special episode beach trip. Because it is also really hilarious and cute and fun, and because I really enjoyed also the friendship between Sky and Rain. Rain, my babe, I love him so much. He's such a cutie. And I love that they're like, yeah, like, okay, we're gonna go to like a beach resort and we're gonna have fun there. Which they do. And like, I love that because it's like really cute scene actually as a beachy like scene that they are, or like the by the like sea, like they're standing there and Sky's character is dressed like Luffy from One Piece, like with the straw hat and the red vest, and it's the most adorable thing ever. And obviously their boyfriends find them there, and then all in like the reason why they had gone away was just some simple misunderstandings, so it's all fine and dandy. And then we get some amazing scenes between them, between their couples. We get some a really cute breakfast scene. And yeah, like I love that they're running off also that series with some cute like moments between also Sky and Rain, but also between the couples, and they're basically on a couple vacation. And so that's why I really also wanted to end this video with like these cute babes, so to speak, and also because I love it, because they're also in the pool, and Rain is being very persistent about certain private information about Sky's life with Prapai, and Sky's like, I'm a very private person, and Rain's like, no, but I want to know, and it's like hilarious. But yeah, like I love the scene though when they're like on these rocks by the ocean, and it's just like Sky is really channeling the Luffy energy, and I love that. And I hope that there's also in the universe that is Love in the Air, that they also have this amazing One Piece adaptation that we got, because it is really like nearly as good as the anime, I would say personally. I've not watched the whole anime, but I've seen some episodes, and so that's why I think Sky would really enjoy that. Anyway, that was a tangent about that. Yeah, so for them, like the beach episode is a very like fluffy, light thing, and it's just there to provide, you know, some cuteness, some interaction, but also some shenanigans, as we know them, especially from Rain, but also from Sky a little bit. And so that's why I wanted to include that here. Thank you for hanging out with me in my dreamy little fangirl chaos corner. Comment your favorite BL beach trip, and you know where the subscribe button lives. So I will see you. Bye!